We work with so many players on their overheads, both in person but also online, and it can be a really difficult skill to practice in a game because you never get the same overhead that you can actually practice that technique. So in this video, we're going to describe the best way for you to train your overheads, both the defensive bandejas and ganchos and shots like that, but also the attacking Viboras and tops and smashes, so that you can improve that in your matches. So the first thing to understand is the technical improvements that you want to make on each of the shots, because that will depend on how you will set up your training. For example, if there is a technical element within your swing that you want to practice, then that needs repetition. And one of the best ways to do that is to receive many balls in the same place so that you can actually work on that technique. So you want to improve one of your overheads. For whatever reason, you might be making too many mistakes, or it's not accurate enough, or you struggle to finish points. The next step is to get some technical advice, and I don't recommend just asking another fellow player what they think. I recommend going to a coach, or if you're a member on our platform, you can send in a video of your overhead and myself and the other coaches will give you technical tips. But either way, you need to understand what about your technique you need to change. And then you step on to a court, and this will be one of the few times that I think basket feeding or repetitive feeding is a good way to practice the technique, because here you can make those technical changes. If, for example, you're working on your bandeja and you really want to practice it, a match setting is very difficult because you only might get one of the right type of ball to practice once every 3 or 4 games. Whereas if you're being fed the ball repetitively, then you actually get time to really focus on that technical change. Personally, I quite like in my lessons with my player to use a ball machine, and if you're using the Padel Slinger, you'll need this accessory so that it can hit lobs, but that way I can go round to the other side of the net and work with the player at the other end. But a ball machine is great because once you set it up, it will fire every single ball accurately into the same place, and that way you as the player can practice getting underneath and working on those techniques, because you know exactly where the ball is going, so you can adjust your body and get into position. It always helps to adjust this at the side of the ball machine before you go down the other end, just to make sure it's feeding you the right ball, so you can adjust the height, the speed, the spin. Now, I've already used this machine many times before, and we actually have a PDF on all of the settings to have for all of the shots. But now I've set this up, I'm going to go down the other end and I'm going to work on my bandeja. Now, the Slinger has a little remote control, and a lot of ball machines do, which is great because you don't waste time and you can start the machine from the other end. I highly recommend making this as realistic as possible. So after every bandeja, for example, you'll come back to your ready position at net, and each time you're practicing the correct movements, as well as putting targets or cones down on the other end to give you something to aim for. This will help you become more accurate and consistent. To give you an example of a technical thing to focus on, I might want to improve my back arm and get that up straighter at the back. So I'm going to go from my ready position straight into that position there. So straight up, and that way I've got a technical focus when it comes to my bandeja. So you should always have at least one and not more than 2 technical focuses for each of your shots. So my technical point for my Vibora, for me personally, I really want to practice coming around the outside of that ball. So I get into a fast position here, and I'm going to make sure that I get lots of brush on that ball every time I hit it. And I want to make sure there's good spin and side spin when I'm hitting this ball. Oh, that was a nice one. So once you've practiced the technique on the shot, the way you can make it more realistic is to put it into a conditioned play with a partner, training partner, coach, whoever might be at the other end, and therefore you play with a bandeja and a volley. Now this works really well for the defensive overheads, like the bandeja or like the gancho, where you can actually hit that to a target at your opponent's end and keep control, and they can play to the volley. And a great drill is where you hit one down, one up, so one volley, one bandeja, and that way you're also getting that great movement forward and backwards, but it makes it really realistic to a game. Now, when it comes to the attacking overheads like the topspin smash or the Vibora, they are point finishers, so it's very difficult to put that into a conditioned exercise with a partner at the other end where you can continuously have that ball going back and forward. So it's better to use either a ball machine or a training partner or coach that can accurately feed that overhead. But it's really important to put them in an appropriate part of the court. If the coach or partner or ball machine is feeding from halfway up the court, for example, then you're not going to receive an accurate, specific type of lob like you would do in a match. So try and always put them at the back of the court in a position where you might receive that lob in a game, and that way you can practice your Viboras and attacking overheads specific to a match. Personally, I think this is a really important part of training this overhead, and when you go to train that overhead, again, like I said at the beginning of the video, focus on the technical elements you want to improve, but focus on one or two elements. If you are thinking of 6 or 7 different things while you're trying to hit your overhead, it's not going to work. You're not going to progress as fast. So focus on 1 or 2 things, try and get them right, and then move on. But this is a great way to practice. Most of our members, when they send their videos for analysis, use a ball machine, and it's great for me as the coach, but also for them as the player, because we really can isolate the shot and focus on the technique. And this month we're partnering with Slinger to give away a Slinger paddle bag, and we'll be doing that from our Instagram account at the Paddle School. So head there and you could be in it with a chance to win this amazing training partner to help improve your game. The final thing I would say about training the overheads and how you can get it into your matches is that when you start your game, it's really important that you go for the shots with confidence and without worrying too much about the result. So many players will do the training with a ball machine, or myself in our lessons, and they'll be really confident and relaxed, and they'll hit an incredible Vibora or topspin smash, and they'll get to the game, and in the first game they may miss one, and after that they go back to being really tense and tight on their overheads. But it's really important, all of those attacking overheads and a lot of the defensive overheads are confident shots, so you need to be relaxed with the arm, you need to focus on your footwork to get into position, and you've just got to go for it in your matches to build up that confidence. So I highly recommend really trying to input what you practice in your session into your matches, and initially not worrying too much about the results. And reiterating again, if you actually want to improve your overheads or any part of the game, then you need technical advice and technical help. And if you want to go to thepadelschool.com, you can sign up for a free membership and actually post your videos today after signing up, and myself and the other coaches will give you feedback on those shots so that can help you improve. And then down here, I'm going to put a video on what other exercises you can do with the ball machine to help improve your game.